drawing room over here.
Oh, hey, come on in. If you're an Australian of a certain vintage, then this will sound very familiar. In the late 1990s, the Mavises were all over the airwaves with a bunch of hit songs that saw them invited to tour with the likes of Kylie Minogue. Matt Dole, the band's frontman, hasn't been resting on his laurels since the Mavises disbanded, continuing to write and release new music across a number of different bands. And he's bringing it all together in his latest show for the Chapel Summer Sessions. Matt, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So the Mavises, video, the Blow Waves, all these different projects. Yeah. How separate are they in your head?
They're like batches of songs and stories that are happening at your time, and the kind of tastes of sounds and the things that are going on in your life, really. That's the kind of batches I see, because it's with lyrics and stuff like that, you know.
And when you think of those projects, the Mavises, video, the Blow Waves, what are the differences then?
There's just different dynamics on stage and that as well, I think. With the Mavises, it seems like they're all families actually, but the Mavis seems like a family I was born into because I started so young in that band. So, yeah, I was really fond feeling the Mavises. They all do actually.
Okay, then talk to me about bringing it all together in one show. Are there some songs or projects that work better than others?
Yeah, I think with the Blowwave stuff, there was a very punky energy, like a disco punk energy that was happening on stage. And some of those songs, and there was some ballady sort of stuff. And then with video, my electronic band, that was kind of very dramatic, melodramatic, romantic, kind of a synth stuff. And the Mavises did a whole spectrum of pop, acoustic, rock and stuff like that. So I'm kind of trying to pick and place it all together, and just the good songs, I think, that have stood the test of time.
You mentioned before how young you were when you formed the Mavises and made it big there. Is that the right age to get that successful? Has that been challenging?
Well, we didn't really get successful, so to speak, for quite a while. So we started when we were underage kids, but it took us a good 10 years to be noticed. But it was a gradual thing. Like in those days, people would come to gigs. Like hundreds of people would come to.
In those days, I think people would still go to gigs.
Yeah, but, on a Tuesday night, you could play at the local pub and it'd just be packed out. And so we built up from that. And so it was kind of like a gradual thing with the success. But then overnight, when you're on video screens and stuff, that was kind of overnight, I think. So that was a bit of a shock. And doing interviews, we were quite shy as well.
Oh, well, you're doing one now. You've gotten a lot more used to them, right?
Not really.
Quietly freaking out?
Quietly freaking out.
So doing interviews, that's interesting because that part of your life as a performer is kind of a bit that you don't think about till you have to do it, right?
Yeah, because you write songs because maybe a bit awkward at talking or a bit shy in some areas socially, and writing a song is like a story or sharing part of yourself, a deep part of yourself, and that's kind of almost like a cop-out as well, because you kind of have to avoid certain normal situations that might be quite freaky to you, but singing a song is...
So you can say, I'd like to do this interview in song. I'm going to...
Possibly, yeah.
That would be a way of dealing with it. So you've got a brand new album coming out right now, a solo project. Why go solo?
Just getting different members and stuff, and people unavailable, people overseas, and people I'm working with. So I thought I'm just going to do this project and totally focus on the songs and get into a little headspace and not really think about the outcome. And then if there's members that can't do it, I'll find someone else to play with me, or I can just play by myself or play as duo or trio or more.
What's that been like creatively to work on your own? Because you've often worked in these kind of band situations.
Yeah, I do work a lot on my own in the writing process. It's just seeing it through with the production and stuff. It's great because it's very streamlined and you get the exact sounds you want, rather than handing over certain frequencies to other people, which can be amazing as well. But I think there's a certain purity that comes when you just see the whole song through from start to finish.
You said each album kind of marks a life point or a story or, a kind of experience, if you like. What's the story behind this one?
Ooh, there's a bit of darkness actually behind this one. There was a lot of, I don't want to sound morbid, but there's a lot of loss and death happening around me at the time. And I would just sort of put my headphones on late at night and the acoustic guitar in with the drum machine, and just write these songs. And I didn't kind of realise till later there was quite themes of death and loss. Really, there's one song actually that might play that was about losing a dog, but she was actually there when I was writing the song, though, so she heard me write the song. It was like death waiting beside you, sort of thing. So there's those sort of themes going through the EP, but there's a very uplifting, melodic and shimmering sound. So it's not kind of self-indulgent, I don't think, in that kind of morbid way.
So was it a chance to escape or to process some of that grief or loss in the songmaking?
Definitely a chance to process it, yeah.
What's it like revisiting it then? Because that is often, again, a moment. Grief is... and it feels so raw. What's it like listening back or performing that same work?
It's actually quite beautiful performing it because it's like a release, and it's almost like you can feel that the energy of the loss sort of surrounding you in a positive way.
Has music always had that role for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, there's a strong synth pop feel across a lot of your recent albums. Is that what you grew up listening to, or something you came to as an adult?
Bit of both. I grew up listening to a lot of the early 80s stuff as well, and those sounds, I think, which I've revisited those sounds on the EP, like the drum machine sounds and stuff like that, the analog synth. But I also like to mix it up with organic instruments as well. I grew up with a lot of punk stuff when I was very young. The Clash and Nina Hagen and the Slits and bands like that, which I tuned to the strange station. Maybe it was ABC.
The strange station.
When I was a kid. I used to tape the music off there. But
remember when we used to do that? Tape the song, wait for the song to come on and then press the record button?
Yeah.
How weird is that?
It was so good. I was the one that made all the copies for everyone at school.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always on the list for those mixtapes. On RN, I'm Patricia Karvelas and Matt Dole is my guest in the drawing room. Matt, we're about to hear one of your tracks. What have you picked for us? I've
picked the song I mentioned earlier, Sister Shadow.
Tell me about the song.
At the time, I'd lost 2 dogs. I'd lost 1 dog, and I just found out that this mother dog didn't have long to live, and she was my shadow, pretty much. So it's kind of has a double meaning. She was there when I was writing the song late at night listening, and she was always responding to melodies and what worked and stuff.
Your dog used to respond to the music?
She would flip on her back and just start wagging her tail.
Is that how you knew you were doing it well?
Yes. If
there's a certain chord is my dog into the song?
Yeah, a certain chord progression or a melody or a frequency in my voice she'd respond to. And so I was writing this song. I didn't really mean to write it about her, but it was kind of death waiting beside her and also her waiting beside me.
Let's hear it. This is Sister Shadow by Matt Dole.
Sister Shadow is coming round again, but if I knew you'd stay, I'd be on my knees forever and a day, mountain eagle watch and pray. Oh, will the desert roam beyond the black above the dome? Do you see my heart has flown with you? With you. Sister Shadow is waiting next to you in the darkest part of darkness. I'd make a deal. My soul is for the steel. I will leave the heart of heartless. Will the desert roll beyond the black, above the dawn? Can you find your way back home to me? You see, my heart is gone with you, with you, with you, with you, with you.
That was Sister Shadow by Matt Dole, and Matt is my guest in the drawing room. Matt, as someone who's seen a lot of the industry, from the pop peaks to the indie band world, what do you make of the state of the Australian music industry at the moment? I'll tell you why I'm asking, because you said back then on a Tuesday night when people would come and see gigs.
Yeah, I think it's been going through a really tough time. I think technology has made certain things better and also a lot worse, with people addicted to their phones and Facebook and things like that. I think they might have gone to a gig, but they actually haven't gone to a gig.
they pressed maybe when they were invited.
Yeah, well, they see a lot of stuff, on. I watch stuff on YouTube as well, but there's also that meeting people. Used to be going to a gig and you'd go to certain. You have the same taste in bands, and you look at someone across the room for maybe a few weeks and go and see that band again, maybe talk to that person, and that's how people kind of hooked up as well. So, yeah, that's that part of it. Yeah, and I think it's a bit over flooded with music. I almost think that sometimes the record company thing was a good thing because.
Do you think people are overstimulated, essentially? Like there's too much?
There's too much, yeah.
Now, Matt, I always ask my musical guests to bring in a song that they love. What have you picked for us?
I've picked a song that I'm actually going to do in my set this coming Saturday night, and I'm going to do an acoustic version with a couple of 12-string guitars, a stripped-back version. It's a song called "Enjoy the Silence" by Depeche Mode.
It's such a good song. What do you love about this song?
I love the lyric. It's a very simple lyric, but it just evokes a beautiful feeling. And I love the production as well. Love his voice. Just love the frequencies. The two voices together. Love everything about it. I think it was a beautiful song, and it still stands up as a dance song or a ballad.
Hey, Matt, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Patricia.
Matt Dole has been my guest in the drawing room. You can find his latest EP, Matt Dole, Night Flight, online and in stores very soon. And if you're in Melbourne, Matt will be performing at Chapel off Chapel this Saturday. Now let's have a listen to the song that Matt has chosen. This is Depeche Mode with Enjoy the Silence.
Words like violence break the silence, come crashing into my little world. Painful to me, it's right through me. Don't you understand? Oh, my little girl.